Oh, well, hey there. It is update video time. It was about 2 years ago when I made my first video on Fisker, and since then a lot has changed. I grew a beard. I met Henrik Fisker actually, and I told him all about how all this started. It was super cool. He told me how awesome I was. You could see the pictures. He definitely said I was an amazing person and probably the best person he ever met. I mean, it was great to hear that. But yeah, I'm going to talk about everything I'm looking for in the next year. A lot of new things I haven't talked about at all, and just really give you updates on things that have changed. So let's get right into it. All right, the glasses are off. Let's get to business. First of all, why am I making a video right now? Well, Fisker is almost at all-time lows. It's under $8. It went to like 30 something in the beginning of 2021, and a lot has changed. But at the same time, a lot has not changed. The market has gone down quite a bit, and Fisker as a business is still doing what they said they were going to do, and they've made a lot of progress since then. But the stock price has not really reflected that, in my opinion. And also, I saw this tweet not too long ago, and it just reminded me about the good times when they did ring the bell. It was when they merged from SPAQ to Fisker. One of the only EV companies in which has the ability to really capture the market due to their model.
And he has the Ocean. The Ocean is a gorgeous car. David, I think that Fisker is, when we look at all these different companies that we talk about that are just excitement,
yes,
there may be some stake here with Sizzle.
So yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. There's kind of an elephant. I don't know if that's an elephant in the bottom left. But yeah, I met Henrik. Overall, I just want to talk about how amazing of an owner, CEO he is. Just through my conversations with him, I could tell immediately how passionate he is about Fisker. I'm obviously not going to go into details and stuff. I want to keep that private. But he was just really passionate. You could tell in someone's voice when, I feel like some billionaires, they just want money or whatever, attention. He really loves designing. He loves the Fisker community, and he is putting his heart and soul into this. And it just really makes me think about how this is exactly what I wanted to see, and I actually was able to see it in real person, and it just helps to confirm everything that I've been thinking. If you didn't watch my other videos, you must have been living under a rock, and if you don't even know what Fisker is, go watch those videos. So they're going to be in the description. But I talked all about Henrik Fisker back then and how much I believed in him, and just meeting him really solidified a lot of my opinions. So let's get into the updates. First of all, production. It was expected to be November of this year. It seems like they've already begun production. Shout out to Fiskerati. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but I'm going to be using a lot of the articles from this website for the purpose of this video. First of all, the company has already made over 170 Oceans under Magna, and that's huge, but of course, many more to come. And this is things I'm going to be talking about later in the video, but it's not just the Ocean. There are a lot of vehicles that Fisker plans to put out. I feel like all the focus has been around the Ocean, but you have to remember, Fisker is not just the Ocean. It is a car company. It is a brand. At this point, it's now a community. So they're doing a good job. We're going to talk about marketing later as well. They're going to motor shows and all of that stuff. So production going well. Next, I didn't really talk about this because we didn't have the information when I made my other videos. Battery partner, CATL. Here's another article. As you can see, they will supply Fisker with 2 different battery solutions for the Ocean SUV, a lithium ion phosphate battery, these scientific words, and a lithium nickel cobalt battery. Okay, so this is a huge partner. As you can see, they have a little bit of some production stuff over here in terms of their bases. And this is what we want to see. Good partners. We could see an estimated 340 and 350 mile range for the Hyper battery. And of course, it's going to vary depending on the Fisker car that you or any consumer gets. So a lot of cool stuff here with the battery partner. And then there's also charging partners that have been announced. First, we have, I suck at pronunciations. Allego. You get the point. All right. So the EV charging network company will receive approximately $161 million of gross proceeds to keep expanding its charging footprint. You could see they were both SPACs, it seems. And Fisker shareholders own a piece of this company. Fisker made a $10 million investment through a private investment in public equity with SPAQ. They agreed to deliver a range of charging options for Fisker customers in Europe. So you can see this network is expanding. So they now have 2 partnerships with EV charging networks to cover both the US and Europe. And this is going to be huge. Of course, Henrik has a lot of roots in Europe. He's worked for car companies in Europe, and Europe is a major focus. They just did this Paris show, I believe. Europe is a very big focus, not only for the ocean, but if you've seen some of his interviews, also for the Pear. He wants to design a car for those roads that are smaller. He wants to design a car for delivering food. We're going to talk about the Pear in a little bit. But again, more partners coming on board. We also have Wallbox. Let me scroll down a little bit. So the Fisker Wallbox home charger will add an estimated 20 to 30 miles depending on your battery. So we have the charging network, the home charger. It's all coming together. Let's see. There are level 2 chargers for home or office use. Fisker Wallbox Charger is a home charging station that provides AC power to vehicles. This differs from a public fast charger, which provides DC power to the vehicle at a higher power level. So of course, you're not going to get the same type of charging, but this is a much more convenient option because where do you take your car? You take it home. All right. So more charging partners. Next up, Reservations. This is a crazy one. You can go back to my first videos, and I did some math about the reservations and the estimated revenue, whatever. 60,000 reservations now, okay? Just to put that into perspective. And I'm going to be lowballing this severely. But we're just going to take the lowest tier version of the car, the 37.5K car. Assume that nobody got the higher tier versions. Everybody just got the lower tier versions. If we took those 60,000 reservations, and of course this is also assuming that all 60,000 actually get the car. I know there's the Flexi Lease program as well, but this is why I'm lowballing. I'm not including the other tiers, but let's just take it as it is. That's over $2 billion in revenue off of their first reservations for their first car before production is really even like in full pace. Fisker's market cap is just about the same as the estimated revenue, lowballing it. Crazy, right? I mean, I think it is. And then we've also got a lot of ocean interior updates. You can see over here, this is the UI for the car. So you can see a very nice screen. Of course, the screen turns around. It's pretty cool. Just looking at this, it looks pretty sick to me. Very clean, very modern. Probably a lot of features in there we're going to see more of in the future. And of course, we haven't heard a lot about it, but the AI pilot, I'm sure, is integrated into this. I mean, in the car in general is something also to look out for. Let me just delete these tabs at the top. And let's just keep looking through these interior vids. We finally got a lot of them. This, I believe, is for the Extreme and Ocean 1 package. You could see in the back seat, you have this really nice control for the AC, some cup holders, very premium looking. And then we have a couple of more as well. On this one, you can see those beautiful seats. You could see the glove department. I'm really bad with most things apart from stocks. The glove department is under the seats. There's also, I think it's in another video, these trays that you can pull up, very similar as the ones you'll see on like an airplane. Here we have just the front and the back. You can see all that cargo space. With California mode, where literally all the windows and the back window open at the same time, that'll be perfect for surfers or golfers or anybody who has something long to put in the back of their car. Really nice and spacious. Let's keep going. Let's see what's in this video. Look at that camera on the rearview mirror. I've seen that in other cars, but very nice that they included it there. And then, of course, this might be the video on the trays, or that might have been another YouTube video I saw. You could see the cargo space again over here. Beautiful car. And finally, we get to see the interior. So we've gotten those updates. That's something I didn't talk about in my first video. But this is not all about the ocean. They have many other cars planned, and they're currently planning some. This is a altered image, I believe, of the image they released on the Pear. Shout out to Fiskerati again. I know it's kind of blocked out by my camera, but shout out to Fiskerati for making this image. And you could see this Pear car. There's also an article we can take a look at. So let's see. This photo reveals the large jet fighter windshield Henrik Fisker talked about yesterday. The dashboard is big due to the length of the windshield. The seats also have that vegan interior. And there's a lot of different things coming out on the Pear. Finally, it's something that could be even more scalable than the Ocean. And one of the big points I made when I first started talking about the Fisker Ocean is you really can't find a premium EV SUV on the market like that with the specs that the Ocean has for $37.5K. This car, I think they're aiming on the starting price being under 30K. I talked about this in my first video. If you want to get market share, not only from people who are already in the EV market, but if you want to get people to cross over from combustion vehicles into EVs, you need to have an affordable price. You cannot do that. I'm not trying to throw shots at anybody else. With the car like Lucid, which has a much higher starting price, there's many other examples. That was just the first one that came to my mind, and I'm sure they're working on some cheaper options. But this is what Fisker is focusing on. You don't need to do premium first. They're going to do premium. They have already released some details on the higher end cars they want to release, but they're starting this way. This is how you build the mass adoption. And just the Pear itself is focused around a younger demographic, from what I believe. It's very what's the right word to use here? I don't want to offend anybody. It's very progress forward. I'm going to make it vague and leave it like that because they've also kind of been vague about it. So we have to look out for that. And then of course, marketing. They haven't even really gone into actual marketing yet. And this is something we're probably going to see over the next year. And imagine we've gotten 60,000 reservations without full-fledged marketing, right? I know they hired some social media influencers for a little bit. They've done some promotions, and I think they've done a great job as well. They're currently doing this road tour. They've done a bunch of auto shows. Of course, Fisker's done a bunch of interviews, and they've done a great job. But there's a lot more to come. So when this car actually starts getting marketed with everything we know about the brand, it just makes you think about how many other people who don't even know what Fisker is right now are going to hop on board this train of this new company that is really trying to shake up not only the EV world, but the car world in general. New in this scenario, in my opinion, is good. I actually do have a video of one of the commercials they've made, and I think they've done a great job with marketing. So let me go full screen here for a second. There's no audio, but you can just see this is something that you can tell a story with, and that is very important. I feel like maybe Tesla has done an okay job with that, but I don't see any other EV company doing the same. Lucid somewhat as well, but those are really only the three you can mention. There are the more standard car companies which are now rolling into EVs, but I feel like they're not really telling stories. They're not trying to be storytellers. And I just feel like this is going to be a very easy way for Fisker to market things like the California mode, all the little features that they're including that you just don't see in the cars. It's not like the craziest features. They're not super hard for other cars to make, but Fisker is doing it first, and being first is very important. So beautiful looking car. I mean, I've said that many, many times, and I'm very excited to see how they market this. Let's talk about the stock now, okay? First of all, I talked about this in the beginning of the video. Not a lot has changed for Fisker. They had plans. A couple of things have had to delay a little bit like everybody else because of all the shortages and supply chains, standard stuff. But apart from that, production's on pace. They're already working on the Pear. They've gotten a lot of partners. Everything they said they were going to do, unlike a lot of other SPAC and more specifically SPAC EV companies, they're staying true to their word. They're doing what they said they were going to do. Now the stock price from that first video went from literally $8 to 30 something immediately. And over the course of time, it's dropped back down to under $8 now at the lowest price ever. But Fisker is still Fisker. I do not think that something has fundamentally changed for Fisker to drop that much. And to be fair, it's not even that much below where it started as a SPAC when it was $10 like all the other ones. If you look at a lot of other SPACs, they're down 80-90% since that NAV price at $10. So Fisker, in many ways, has held up. Yes, it did go much higher in between, but so did a lot of stocks. You can see this ARK ETF chart over here, which tracks a lot of these types of newer stocks from the past few years, a lot of mid caps as well. You saw that huge move up. Fisker was, on the second half of this, you can't even see it on the chart. And this is just what's happened to these types of stocks. It is a market-wide thing. Now the ARK ETF and a lot of these types of stocks, which are represented in this ETF, are holding a major support, and they've seen a major decrease. So if Fisker could go down with everything else just because everything else was going down, imagine if everything else starts to at least slowly go back up. And Fisker has made so many improvements in between. And when we start seeing those earnings reports, when they actually have the car on the road and all that good stuff, I mean, they still have a lot of cash on hand. Go compare their cash on hand to their literal market cap. It's kind of crazy. But just imagine what happens when things are a little bit different and it starts going up. When you also have a short float of 32%, very squeezable short float. If, let's say, the market environment gets better, some news comes out for Fisker, that's a pretty high short float. Shorts could get squeezed if something happens. I don't know what's going to happen. At some point, something will happen. It could be good or bad. But if it's good, watch out shorts. And now let's talk about the chart. That's what I do. I like charts. First of all, it's been in this wedge for like a year. I'm actually going to head over to TradingView and show all of you everything else I'm seeing on this chart. Let's pull it up right over here. Go to my other overlay. And let's talk about what's going on here. I just recently put out a swing trade on Fisker. It is currently right around the price that I alerted at. Why did I just alert this swing trade? Of course, I just talked about that massive wedge. You have some classic bullish divergence. Earnings are coming up. We go over to the weekly. You can see that same wedge, triple classic bullish divergence on the MACD. This is very close to a tweezer bottom on the weekly. You gapped up a little bit, so it's not perfect. And all of this, literally all of this, is very similar to something, if some of you were around for right over here, something that happened back over here before this huge spike, all right? Wyckoff accumulation. This whole entire chart is Wyckoff accumulation potentially. It still needs more work, but let me just put things into perspective. You know, I'm not going to be able to match this perfectly, but if we really zoom out here, okay? If we really zoom out, you can see there are a lot of similarities, okay? Of course, you can just take a look at how the lines have moved according to this Wyckoff chart, and then you could see what could potentially happen next, all of that. So if we are in this spring area, and if you look at it, we have these two first major lows from when it was very new to the market. Both of them, you've gone under a little bit. You created a new support after that as well. This is probably what's more important to me than just trying to match up the black lines with the candles on the chart. Look at these two supports. You have your primary support. It held it these 2 times. It held it over here. Then you created that secondary support. You held it over here. And the spring is the phase where you slightly go under that secondary support. And hopefully, if all these things I'm talking about help out the stock, and if that wedge breaks out, and if the market gets better and the shorts get squeezed, you get out of this area rather quickly, maybe in the next couple of weeks. And then we can get back up into that teens range. And then we'll take it from there. It's too early to, go for all of this. But this is a very old technical pattern that's been occurring in the market for a long time, and the whole entire chart is representing that pattern. So just to put this all together, while we are at not only the lowest price ever on Fisker pretty much, but also the lowest price ever for this Wyckoff to even potentially happen, the lowest part of the range, Fisker has done everything they said they're going to do. They're going to have cars on the road in the next year. We're at the point. It feels like it's always been a pre-revenue stock speculation because their product wasn't out. Their product is literally physically being made right now. It's going to be rolled out. It's going to be marketed for this actual company. Put apart the stock. For the actual company in the next year, it is go time. And we've had a horrible market this year. What happens if even though the market does a little bit better, even certain sectors of the market do a little bit better, and certain stocks get to show their true colors? We will find out, all right? We will find out. I'm not here to make any crazy predictions. I'm not here to make any crazy predictions at all. But we'll see.